Well, I think, to be honest, most companies that I've met with in Asia Pacific broadly, including Malaysia, are really just on the starting block of understanding the business impacts of good environmental, social, and corporate governance systems. So right now, when we talk to companies in the region about CSR, they frequently tell us about their community giving programs, the park they built, the school they built. But what we want to know is, how are you running your business in a sustainable manner? So how are you making your manufacturing facilities more energy efficient? How are you sourcing raw materials in a way that's cost effective and that's environmentally sensitive? How are you engaging your suppliers to provide you with goods that are manufactured or sourced in a responsible way?
Is it possible that it's also tied into the general culture of being of the country you're in? Because, for example, a European country with tighter environmental standards, for example, or a Western environment where the children growing up to become the leaders are more environmentally aware?
I don't know how much it is a cultural thing. I think the people I've spoken to just over lunch and at breakfast who are from Malaysia or Singapore or other countries in the region, they understand why the environment is important. You know, they rely on the environment. They want to see their cities green. They want to see companies operating responsibly. I think there's currently just a disconnect between operating responsibly on a general basis and corporate social responsibility. People haven't made the link in their head. So for instance, while I've been in Malaysia, we've been talking a lot about palm oil. It's the biggest industry in the country. The government's very supportive of it. But palm oil is a high impact sector. So there are significant environmental impacts of producing palm oil. There's significant social impacts of buying land, developing palm oil plantations. And I can have that conversation at a general level with the companies we invest in, or even just people on the street. But they don't see that as sustainable investment or corporate responsibility. They see that just as how you run a palm oil plantation. And actually that's fine, as long as it's run in a responsible way. So as long as when I ask the question, how are you tackling climate change in your palm oil plantation? Are you burning peat bogs, which release greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere? If I can have that conversation with the company, then I will know how responsibly the management is running those operations.
Do you generally have the feedback or receive the feedback that you're hoping to receive from the companies you ask these questions of?
In this region, not yet, no.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think they haven't asked the questions themselves yet. So they're starting to.
The party line.
Usually we get sort of blank stares, not even a party line.
Okay. If it came down to development from companies that invest, such as your good selves, how would you actually move things towards that direction?
I guess what I'd like to see is the board thinking about risks in a broader sense, not just risks to capital inflows and outflows, but risks to the business as a whole. So will climate change threaten my business?
Right.
Will conflict, if I'm operating in high conflict zones, threaten my business? And when the board starts asking those questions, it's then going to ask the line of senior management those questions, and they're going to ask their reports those questions. And so it's going to change the way companies think about their business operations.
Have you seen any major changes in the environment of late?
Well, I think the recent changes that the Bursa Malaysia and the Securities Commission have introduced with an emphasis on CSR is enabling us to have a more useful conversation with companies in operations on a day-to-day basis. You know, are their facilities energy efficient? Are they environmentally sound? Do they treat employees well so that the employees will stay longer and drive the business forward? And I think it would be helpful if the domestic investor was asking those same questions.